Okay, this will be your most challenging lesson to date. First off, this last problem here with the 10ab plus 2, get rid of that, okay? We're probably not ready for something like that yet, okay? Some of you might know it. Congratulations, you don't need to know that yet, okay? Now I'm actually going to skip these two right here, okay? And actually I'm going to talk about them. Now, on this paper, you don't have to write this down, just watch. If I tell you to simplify that, you're like, well, how am I going to simplify when I don't know what goes in for x, the letter x? What number would go in for x? You don't know. You don't know on any of these what goes in for x. So, if I'm going through my please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, don't worry about E today, okay? On this, don't worry about it. There's a parentheses, but here's the problem. We have a 4, and we got this 2 that's multiplied by x. I'm going to put a dot there. Now, I can't add 4 and 2 because the 2 is multiplied by x. The 4 is not. So you can't add. So you're like, well, what are we going to do then to simplify it? Well, that's what the lesson's about. Now, this 8x plus 4, remember in the last assignment when you had a plus on top or bottom of a fraction that went in parentheses and you'd figure out what the parentheses was, but I put a dot between the 8 and the x. The 8's multiplied by x and the 4 is not, okay? So you can't add those. Now, if it was 8x plus 4x, if they were both multiplied by x, you could add them. But guess what? They're not. One is, one isn't. That's a problem. And we will get into how to fix that problem as we move through this, okay? This will be a little bit weird, okay? So, notes, examples. Okay, make your 8 boxes. Okay, your job is to simplify without me giving a replacement. Now, I want you to put your operators between the 11 and the x's times. Between the 9 and the x's times. Now, and you got the plus between the x and the 9 there. Please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Get rid of the E. Don't even worry about that today. Okay? Don't even worry about that. Okay, there are no parentheses in this problem. Now, you do have multiplication, but here's the deal. How are you going to take 11 times x when you don't know what x is? You can't, okay? The same with the 9 and the x. So get rid of multiplication. You have it, but you can't do it. Division you don't have. You have addition. Look at the numbers you have. Are they both multiplied by x? They are. So I write x down and I add 11 plus 9. That's 20. And that's the answer, 20x. Okay, next one, 5t minus 7t. So times, I hate minuses, make them plus negative. Times. You don't have parentheses. You have multiplication, but you don't know what that letter is, so cross it out. Okay? If you had something to put where the t was, you could, but you don't. Division, nope. Addition, well, we have a plus sign here. Now look at the numbers. The 5 and the negative 7, are they both multiplied by t? They are, so I write t down, and I go to my number line and I figure out 5 plus negative 7. So we start at 5, we go 7 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That takes you to negative 2. Done. Okay? You can put a times dot there, but you can't do anything with the times. Okay? Okay, next one. 5w to the second plus 12w to the second. They're like, oh, we got an exponent. Yeah, who cares? It's to a letter. Okay? You don't know what the letter is, so don't worry about it. So parentheses, don't have any. So times w, that's a power to the w, then a plus sign, a times, and that's a power. Don't put a dot between a letter and an exponent. Okay, you just keep it like there. Multiplication, that'd be great if I knew what w was. I don't. Get rid of it. Division. Addition, okay, yep, right there. Now on one side we got a 5, the other side we got a 12. Are both of them multiplied by W? Are both of them multiplied by W to the second? Yes, they are. So put W to the second down. Don't add the 2's together. Leave it W to the second. The exponents will be the same, okay? Then 5 plus 12 is 17. If you want to put the dot between the 17 and the W, that's cool, okay? But I'm not going to. Okay, next one, negative 4y to the second plus 9y to the second times, that's a exponent, plus times exponent. Parentheses don't have them. And if I put an E, you wouldn't be able to do it anyway because there are exponents, but that's a letter. Okay, so multiplication, yeah, great if I knew what y was. I don't. Okay. See, if I got multiplication, you can circle it, but it's not going to do you any good if you don't know what y is. So get that out of there. Division, nope. Ooh, we have the plus sign. Are both numbers multiplied by the same letter with the same exponent? They are. So guess what? You can add those because those are like terms. Negative 4 plus 9. So I'm at negative 4, I go 9 units to the right. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm at 5. 5y to the second. Okay? You can't simplify that anymore because you don't know what y is. Okay, next one. Negative 7x minus 6 plus 4x plus 10. So what do we have? Well, that's a times. X and 6 is a minus. Make that a plus negative. 6 and 4 is a plus, it's good. 4 and x is a times, x and 10 is a plus. So we don't have any parentheses. You have multiplication here and here, but you don't know what x is, so don't have to do it. Division, nope. Addition, well, I got a lot of addition. There, okay? Now, but you don't add everything. What are the two numbers multiplied by x? Negative 7 and 4. So you take negative 7 plus 4. So negative 7 plus 4 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's negative 3. Now cross out both numbers multiplied by x. They're done. Now, what numbers do you have that are not multiplied by anything? Negative 6 and 10, you need to add those on the number line. Negative 6 plus 10, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's 4. So we put a 4, not multiplied by anything, and that's the end of the problem. Because that one's multiplied by x, that one's not, I'm done. Okay? Done. Negative 3 times x plus 4. You don't need to put the dot in your final answer if you don't think it's necessary. Okay, next problem. 5 minus 3x plus y plus 4 minus 6x. Okay, got a minus plus negative times, and then a plus, then a plus, then a minus plus negative, then a times. So parentheses, multiply, divide, add, subtract. Parentheses, you don't have anything, okay? Multiplication, yeah, here and here. But I don't think I know what x is, so get rid of it, okay? It's not what we're doing, no division. Adding, yeah, we have plus, 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 okay? So here's what you need to do. Give me a letter. There's 2 letters in the problem. Give me one. Give me x. What 2 numbers are multiplied by x? Negative 3 and negative 6. You add those. Okay? So negative 3 plus negative 6. You're at negative 3. You go 6 to the left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Negative 9. What's another letter in this problem? It's y. Now, since you're not going to put anything in for y, you need a number in front of it. If there's no number in front of it, put a 1 and then a dot. Now write plus and then y. Now what's the only number I have multiplied by y? It would be a 1. Okay, so put a 1 down and that's done. Now, that's all the letters I have. What two numbers are not multiplied by any letter? 5 and 4. 5 plus 4 is 9. And that's the final answer, because that's multiplied by x. That's multiplied by y. X and y are different letters, so you would not add those two. Okay? They have to be by the same letter. That's the answer. Okay, next one. Negative x plus 4y plus 8 plus 2x. Here's a pointer, okay? If you have a letter and you don't have anything to put in for that letter, okay, make sure it has a number in front of it. If it has no number in front of it, like that x doesn't, it's a 1. It is a 1, okay? That might make the problem a little easier. If you're like, okay, I can't put anything in for x or y, they don't tell me, then put a number in front of it. Put a 1. Uno, 1, 1. That has a 4, that has a 2, okay? Now we go to the, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, no parentheses, okay? And also times, that's a plus, that's a times, that's a plus, that's a plus. Multiplication, yeah, I have it, but I don't know what the letters are, so I skip that, okay? Division, there's not even division in the problem. Addition, plus, plus, plus. Now, write down a letter. I don't care which one. Let's go x. What two numbers are multiplied by x? Negative 1 and 2. You add those. Number line those. So negative 1 plus 2. 1, 2. That takes me to positive 1. Now, again, there's another letter in the problem, so put y. What number is multiplied by y? 4. That's the only number multiplied by y, so I just put 4 down. Now that's all the letters. What number's there not multiplied by a letter? Oh, it's the 8. So that's the only one I have, so I don't add anything to it. I just put plus 8, and that's the answer. Okay? So you put the dots, but their letter you won't know. And if a letter doesn't have a number in front of it, it is a 1. Okay? Alright, now I'm going to turn the page, even though I have a box left, because that's part 1 of your assignment right there. Assignment has 4 parts. Now we get to different types of problems. 6 parentheses x plus 10, okay? Alright, so between the 6 and the x would be times. Between the x and the 10 we have a plus, okay? So please excuse my dear Aunt Sally. Don't even put the E down, okay? Don't even put that down. Alright, so x doesn't have a replacement, so make sure if the letter doesn't have a replacement, at least have a number connected to the front. Put a 1, okay? Just like that. Put a 1 if it doesn't have it. So you have parentheses. You have it this time, but that's multiplied by x. The 10 is not. So you can't add. Okay, so put can't add, because that's multiplied by x. The 10 is not. You can't add two numbers unless they're multiplied by the same letter, the same thing. Okay? So we won't be doing the parentheses. Okay? We will be doing the multiplication right there. Not the 1 times x, because I don't know what x is. Okay? What I do is called the distributive property. Draw a rainbow from your 6 to your 1 and your 6 to your 10. And here's what you do. You write 6 down twice. Put times. And you're going to times that by 1 with the x. 6 times 1 times x. Then you're going to take 6 times 10. Well, 6 times 1 is 6, and then I just connect an x onto the product. 6 times 10 is 60. And you write 6x plus 60. You always put a plus sign between them. Multiplication's done. There's no division. You do have an addition, but that one's with an x, that one's not. So you can't add and you can't subtract. That's the final answer. 6x plus 60. Next one, you got 5 parentheses 5 plus W. I don't have a replacement for W, so at least put a number connected to the front. That's 1. And now put operations. 5 and 5 is times. 5 and 1 is plus. 1 and W is times. Okay? So parentheses, multiplication, division, addition, subtraction. So parentheses, yeah, you got parentheses, but the 1's multiplied by W, the 5 is not. So you cannot add those. Okay? You are not able to add. Multiplication, well, you can't multiply that, but you can multiply from the outside. 5 to 5, 5 to 1. So I write down 5 times 5, and then 5 times 1 times W. So the first product is 25. 5 times 1 is 5, and then I just put a W behind that. And I write 25 plus 5W. Okay, multiplication's done. No division. You have an addition sign, but that's multiplied by W. The 25 is not. So you're not going to add. You're not going to subtract. That's the answer. Okay. Next one, we have a 10, parentheses 9 minus X. You don't know what goes in for X, so you better have a number to cover the front of it. 1. Okay. So put the operators. Times. Minus, I hate minuses, plus negative, and then times right there. Okay, parentheses. You ain't doing jack in the parentheses because that's multiplied by X, that's not, so you can't add. Multiplication, you can't multiply that because you don't know what X is, but you come from the outside. Write 10 down twice. First I times 10 and 9, then I times 10 and negative 1, and make sure you put times X, because the negative 1 is always with the X. 10 times 9 is 90, 10 times negative 1 is negative 10, slap the X on the behind, okay? And you write 90 plus negative 10X. If you want to put the dot between the negative 10 and the X, be my guest. You still can't multiply it, but it's there. Addition, you got a plus, but 90 doesn't have X, negative 10 does. That problem is complete. Okay. Next up, 16, parentheses 7b plus 6. Again, the letter this time has that 7 to go in front of it. Okay. So times, and plus. Parentheses, you ain't doing jack in that parentheses because that's multiplied by B. That one's not. To be adding, they have to be multiplied by the same thing. They're not. So get rid of that. Okay, multiplication. Well, I can't multiply there, but I can multiply the 16 twice times the 7 with the B. Don't forget that. And then times the 6. So I write plus, and 16 times 7. Need the calculator for that. 112. You got to put the B behind it, and then 16 times 6 is 96. So we have 112B plus 96. That's the answer because I wouldn't divide, I wouldn't multiply. I mean, that's a times, but I don't know what B is, okay? Adding, you can't add. That is a times B. That one does not, okay? You can only add two things if they are multiplied by the same letter. They're clearly not. 1.5 parentheses 3 minus 8c. C has an 8 to cover it. Okay. Again, if you can't replace your variable, it should be covered with a number. It's covered by 8. Times that minus, I hate minuses, plus negative 8. And then times right there. It gets really pretty repetitive, but you get in the groove. Okay, parentheses, you ain't adding, okay? You can't multiply because you know what C is, and you can't add a 3 to a negative 8 because the negative 8 is multiplied by C, the 3 isn't. If that C wasn't there, I would be adding them, but it is, okay? Multiplication. Okay, you can't multiply there, but you can go from the outside. 1.5, 1.5 times 3 times negative 8 with its c. Okay, 1.5 times 3 is 4.5, and then I multiply 1.5 times negative 8, which is negative 12, with the c. Put the plus, because the plus carries down. On one side you got a 4.5, the other side you got a negative 12c. If you want to put the dot, be my guest. It doesn't have to be there in your final answer, but the multiplying's done because I don't know what c is. Can't divide. You ain't adding them because that 4.5 is not multiplied by the letter c. That is. Okay. Alright, next one. We got a fraction. Who cares? You have a calculator to do fractions. Times, okay? Times plus negative. Parentheses again. Can't add those, okay? Multiplied by f, not multiplied by f. Multiplication, not there, but you go from the outside. So 1/4 is your common multiplier. Times 4 times f, and then times negative 8. Then you put the plus sign down. 1/4 times 4. It's 1, okay? 3 times 1/3 is 1. 2 times 1/2 is 1. 5 times 1/5 is 1. Number of times its reciprocal is 1. You got to slap the f on that though. 1f. 1/4 times negative 8, okay? Negative 2. Done, okay? Next one's a quick problem. There might be one like this on the assignment, I don't know. Times plus negative. You're not adding. Multiplication, not there, you go from the outside. However, 0 times anything is 0, and I don't care about any letters. If you have a 0 outside, the whole answer is 0. So don't overthink that. Okay. 3/8, parentheses 1/4 x minus 5/6 times plus negative. Can't add. Multiplication not there, but out from the outside. 3/8 is your common multiplier. You multiply that by 1/4 times x, and then times negative 5/6. 3/8 times 1/4. 3/32, because that's 3, that's 32, and that is reduced into simplest form. 3/32 times x, or x behind it. Okay, that's a negative 3/8 times 5/6 times negative 5/6. Negative 5/16, that's negative 15/48, but it can be reduced by a factor of 3, which takes it down to negative 5/16. Okay, so you just write it with a plus. On one side you got 3/32 with x, and then negative 5/16, and that's done. Okay, next problem. Next batch. Okay, 2x plus 7 divided by 5. These are a little bit different. Remember, with the times, plus, divide. When you have a plus, that goes in parentheses. However, you can't do the parentheses because that's multiplied by x, that's not. There's no there's a multiplication there with the x, but you don't know what x is, okay? That's the only place I see the times. So I'm not timesing. Now that line means we do divide. You divide twice. What number's on the bottom? 5. That's your common divider, but you put that second, okay? Because it's on bottom. Then you put the 2 times x and the 7. Okay, I divide 2 and 5. 0.4, and the times x is still there. And then 7 divided by 5, 1.4. Okay, so I got plus 0.4 times x and then 1.4. It's basically the same I was just doing, except you're dividing. Remember to put that on bottom. Okay. Next up, 27 minus 9x, all divided by 3. Minus plus negative times and then divided by 3. Parentheses, yeah, you have it, but I can't add the numbers because that's multiplied by x. That's not. There are multiplications there, but you can't do it. Division. Well, we need to divide here twice. The 3 goes second. Okay, that's your common divider. Kind of like on the before I had a common multiplier. That's the common divider, but put that second. When it's on bottom, it goes second in division. 27 negative 9 dot x. So 27 divided by 9 is 3 is 9. Negative 9 divided by 3 is negative 3 with the times x. So, plus, you have 9, negative 3 times x. You can't do anything else. You can't multiply there, you can't add those because that has an x factor, that one does not. Okay, 25 minus 8x, all divided by 5. That's a plus negative, and that's a times. All divided by 5. Parentheses you have, but you can't, that has an x factor, that doesn't. Can't do it. Multiplication there, but we don't know x. Division, yep. We have to divide everything on top by the common divider of 5. So 25 and negative 8 times x. 25 divided by 5 is 5. Then write plus. And then divide negative 8 by 5, negative 1.6, but remember to put the x factor on the negative 1.6 because the x factor is there. It doesn't go away, it stays. Simplified. Okay. 22 minus 2x, all divided by 2, plus negative times. You can't add that as an x factor, that does not. Okay, they both had x factors I could, but they don't. Multiplication, have it, but you can't actually multiply because we don't know x. Dividing, well, I'm going to be dividing by 2 twice, separately. 22 and negative 2 times x. So 22 divided by 2 is 11. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1 with the times x. So 11, negative 1 times x. Okay. All right, and then the last batch of problems. Negative 20, parentheses, or sorry, there's a negative outside of parentheses and then 20 plus d. Again, since you can't put anything in for d, make sure you have something to multiply it by, put a 1. Now, if you have a negative sign with no number with it, put a 1. Okay? So between negative 1 and 20's times, between 20 and 1's plus, 1 and d's times. So again, parentheses can't be done. Multiplication, we have that, can't multiply, but I can come from the outside now. Now I'm back to multiplying. Negative 1 is the multiplier. Times by the constant 20, times by the 1 with its d. Okay? So negative 1 times 20 is negative 20. Negative 1 times 1 is negative 1. Put the d factor there. And that's your answer with the plus sign, because the plus sign stays. We have negative 20 and then negative 1 times d. Answer. Okay? You'll end up with two things added together. One that has a letter factor, one that does not. That's how all the answers to these problems will end up looking. Okay, next one. Negative, parentheses, 9 minus 7c. First off, I need a 1 there. I need to have a factor, so I go to 1. 9 and 7's plus negative, 7 and c's times. Parentheses, well, it's there, but that has a letter. That one does not. Multiplication, yeah, there, but you have to come from the outside because you don't know what C is. So -1 is the common multiplier. I multiply it by 9, nothing else. And then I multiply it by -7 with the C factor. Don't forget the letter factor on the -7. -1 times 9 is -9. -1 times -7 is 7 with the factor of C. You can put 7C or 7 times C, I don't care. But you need to write your answer with a plus, -9 on one side, 7C or 7.C on the other. But you don't add them because that's multiplied by C. That is not. Okay, next one. 18A minus 17B. Okay, once again, that has to have an actual factor. Use 1. So times, plus negative, and times. -1, distribute it to both the numbers. So -1 is your common multiplier. You're going to times it by 18 with its A factor, and you're going to times it by -17 with its B factor. So -1 times 18 is -18 with the A factor. -1 times -17, negative times negative is a positive with the B factor. So put a plus. On one side you got -18 times A, 17 times B, or 18A, 17B. Now you're still not adding them because that's an A factor, that's a B factor. The letters are different. The problem is solved. Okay? Alright, then my last problem. My battery's about to die, so I'll do that last problem in a separate video. Okay?